when I was preparing for this
Sure.
interview, when I was younger, you always talked about a book
Yes.
that you love. Do you know what book that is?
The Little Prince.
The Little Prince. So I did bring a copy. So I have a copy here, and my friend gave me one in Italian.
Yes.
So if you just want to tell the people, because you use this book a lot in a lot of your homilies, and in many homilies growing up. So maybe you just want to tell everybody The Little Prince and how, in your spiritual life and your homilies, like what was the purpose behind it? Why did you use this book, and how does this help our faith?
Someone had given me my first copy of The Little Prince, and I read it, and I was so touched by it. Some of the notions that are spelled out in that book. It's only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eyes. It's only with the heart that one can see rightly. So that's a powerful line.
Yes.
It talks about, I had my original copy underlined, so I can't go to the places, but how they talk about friends in The Little Prince.
Yes.
And friends are important to me. I treasure friendship. And my dearest friends are sometimes my oldest friends. As I said, the one friend I made when I was a brand new priest in Deer Park, he was a parish trustee there, a single man who worked a number of places. We met at a confirmation celebration. In St. Cyril's, there were so many candidates for confirmation that they couldn't have a sponsor for each candidate.
Wow.
So they had parish sponsors for a number of people. And this man, whose name is Bob Brown, was one of those sponsors. After the confirmation, they had a luncheon for the priests who were visitors. And they also invited these parish sponsors to be there. When I went down, I was gathered with the people, not with the other priests. And so I saw Bob, and we were joking about his favorite cocktail, which was, at that point, Beefeater Gin Martini. I had never taken that kind of a cocktail before, but I tried it. So that became a standard thing for us. And I said to him, it's not the gin that makes you drunk, it's the olives. So be careful how many olives you eat. Anyway, he's in his 90s. He now lives in Maine, out of an assisted living. So we keep contact still today.
That's great. So long friendships.
Yes. St. Boniface in Elmont was the parish that I grew up in.
Yes.
And the parish priest there was in charge of the altar servers. But at that time, it was just altar boys. Anyway, he had these senior boys were called Knights of Our Lady. And the vestment we wore was the cassock, and it had a blue sash and a circlet.
Okay.
Anyway, I went to when I was a senior in Sewanaka High School, there was a mission conducted by this very same priest, Monsignor Stegman. And it was for teenagers, boys and girls, which was unheard of. I lived 1 mile from the church, so I walked, and then walked home. And I remember one night he said, you know, God could be calling you to be a priest, a brother, or a religious sister. And you're saying, could God be speaking to me? Anyway, I was walking home. I was with a lot of kids, but I can remember this very clearly. walking along Elmont Road, going down to Alden Terrace, which was where I lived. It was about a mile from the church. And I remember that words of the priest saying, "Could God be asking me to be a priest?" It kept running over and over. I slept on it, and I went to Sewantica High School.
Yep.
We had split session. The next morning, before my mother went to work, I said to her, "Mom, what do you think if I told you I wanted to become a priest?" And she said, "You, a priest? Don't make me laugh." And then she cried. For a year, she cried. She just did not want me to become a priest. So my father went to speak to the priest. He came back and said to my mother, "You know, it sounds pretty good." She said, "You didn't ask him the right questions." So she went to meet him after Mass one morning. And he said to her, "Mrs. Spadaro, the reason that you want Tom not to be a priest is you're looking for grandchildren. And since he's your older son, it's obvious you would want him to be married and produce grandchildren for you. But you have no guarantee that A, he will be happy married, B, that he will have children, C, that you will see them grow up." Ironically, I wound up becoming a priest, and I officiated at my brother's marriage. My brother and his wife eventually moved to California. My mother, they had two daughters. My mother didn't get to see them grow up because they grew up in California. But Father Stegman said, "But this son of yours, if you allow him to become a priest, you will always have him with you." And I was there. I was there to celebrate my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. And then when both of them died 9 years apart, I was there to anoint them, to give them the last sacraments. So that priest was saying the truth, though he didn't know it. Anyway, so now I'm going to pick up the thread of, well anyway, so that's why I wanted to become a priest. And I became a priest in 1964.
Yes.
When I wanted to study for the priesthood, I had never studied Latin. So they said I had to have 4 years of Latin, or its equivalent. So I graduated in 1955 from high school, and I had to go 1 year to Cathedral College in Brooklyn to study Latin and Greek. So I was able to complete that studies in the 1 year of Latin and Greek.
Wow.
Ironically, now we're not using Latin, but anyway, that's what I had to do. So anyway, I wanted to become a priest.
Yeah.
My mother cried, but when I studied, I had to take that extra year, and I completed my studies there. And after 2 years, I eventually went to the major seminary.
That was
in
in
Huntington.
Right. Okay.
And I was 6 years there.
6 years
6 years.
for the major seminary. Wow.
2 years of philosophy.
Okay.
And completed a BA degree. 2 years in Cathedral College. And I got the beginning of the study for the BA, Bachelor of Arts.
Yeah.
And then 2 years philosophy. Then 4 years of theology. So that was the 6 years.
The 6 years.
I remember my parents had a summer home in Ronkonkoma, which they were going to use as their retirement home. So we used to go out on weekends. And I can remember being out there, and I was the oldest nephew of one part of my family. But anyway, I can remember my father playing cards with some of my uncles. And one of my uncles, who eventually had been my sponsor at confirmation, said to my father, you know, he's got many years ahead of him of studies. You have no idea whether he's going to complete that. As it came into his mind, he may never realize that. And my father said, if my son Tom thinks that God is calling him to be a priest, he will be a priest. So the 6 years went by. I was ordained in 1964, May 30th. And I said my first Mass at St. Boniface Church. My parents were living in Oldham Terrace. After that Mass, there was a reception at the hall. We went then to my house, and my parents and I and relatives were going out to dinner. So I said to my father, did Uncle Lou ever pay us? When my uncle said that, my father said, if my son thinks he's going to be a priest, he will become a priest. And my uncle said, if you're so sure, put your money where your mouth is. I make a bet with you.
Oh.
A suit with 2 pairs of pants that he doesn't become a priest. So on the way home to our house, I said to my father, did you ever collect on that bet? My father said, what bet? So I told him the bet. He said, Tom, I don't need that suit. That you became a priest is my joy.
Wow. It's powerful.
It was powerful because my father and mother believed in me. Eventually, they believed in me.
So, so you were saying just a little bit of the seminary.
Sure.
So you did the 2 years Cathedral College in Brooklyn or Queens?
It was Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, and then you went to Huntington.
Then I went to Huntington.
Huntington. So you did. We still have to do the Greek and Latin today.
Yeah.
Still requirements of the seminary. Difficult though.
For studies.
For studies, yeah. So you went right after you graduated Sewanaka High School. You went straight to the seminary program.
Well, I went to the minor seminary. They had Cathedral College was in Brooklyn, so I had to go there.
Okay.
And I used to commute
Oh wow.
day, night. You know, stay at home.
Yeah, and then
Went there to school.
Right. Okay. So over your 31 years at Good Shepherd, what are some memories that kind of like stick out to you the most? Was there some of the best memories of Good Shepherd? I know my first communion may not crack the top 10, but
well, I can remember, sadly enough, Stephen, that we were worshiping for 4 years in a warehouse, and with chairs.
Yeah.
Whatever that was, I can remember seeing you talking. I don't know whether you were talking to your mother or what, but it was after Mass. I think we were already in the building. But anyway, after Mass, I singled you out. It was my mistake. I rash judged you. And you were taken back. You were very respectful. But I was accusing you of not paying attention at Mass.
Mm.
To this day, I regret it.
Oh.
It was, and I am so proud of you, and that you would not hold that against me.
Father, I don't even remember the account. You have said that before, but I mean, of course I forgive you.
My mother, when we were in the warehouse, if I could see people speaking, I would stop and zero in on people. And my mother would say to them afterwards, but you know, he loves you very much. She was protecting me of bad thoughts that they would have against me.
So you have that memory. Any other memories from your time?
Funny stories.
I remember it was the first Mass that we had at the warehouse that I said. The first day that I was to report. It was a cold January day. Mm. And there was frost on the ground. And I met at the ruins of the original church. And there was the diocesan building commissioner, the insurance people, and somebody from Newsday.
Statement.
So because it was so cold, we sat in the building commissioner's car with the insurance man and so on. And so he asked me a question, what are you going to do? I said, well, first what I'm going to do is we're going to build a residence for the priests. And then we're going to pull the people together. And then whatever. He said, no, we're not going to give you money for that. You have to build the church. So I said, look, here are the ruins. There was what was the church part of it. There was the office part of it. There was the residence part of it. So I'm only going to do what we can do to actually be able to accomplish.
Right.
He didn't want to hear of it. But the Newsday guy was taking pictures. So the diocesan guy said, who is he? I said, oh, he's from Newsday. They're doing an article. Because I had been in St. Gerard's. And when I became pastor at Good Shepherd, this person who worked for Newsday said, you know, can I do an article on you? And they did the article, which was the cover of Newsday, Rising from the Ashes. But it was amazing. So it seemed that the more that people were against me, the more I was determined, you know, come Holy Spirit, give me the strength that I need. And the Lord answered that prayer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think people growing up in Holbrook, you know, a lot of things have come and gone in Holbrook. Stores have closed, been built, but like Good Shepherd has always been like kind of the constant that everyone kind of always associates with Holbrook. You know, Holbrook, Good Shepherd. It kind of just goes hand in hand. You know, like you said, it's the only parish in the diocese with that name. It's very unique. It's got a very unique history too, to say the least.
Really, rising from the ashes.
Rising from the ashes, and to this day, it's like it's such a stable thing for people when they.
And the people of the church.
People of the church, exactly.
They have a sense that they are the church, and they are respected and reverence one another.